we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we needing wood. Yeah, we going for the sweep, then we mop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up, 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 chop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up.
Welcome everybody to the Chopping Block NFL show, baby. We ready to roll. I mean, this week 9. Hey guys, week 9, it did something for me. It did a couple things for me. One thing it did reminded me how fast this season is going by. Dude, this is crazy. This is the week 9 review, week 10 of the NFL. Week 10, guys. That's 8 games left if you really think about it. There's 8 games left in this season. That's crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm here with the thoroughbred Havoc himself, wreaking havoc. And Coach Price, the dumpster juice man. And it's been a little bit since we cranked that diesel up, Coach.
Yeah.
Next week, if you don't crank that thing up on the college show that's coming up on, I think that's Thursday this week. We had to move the college show to Thursday because Digo is enjoying himself. I think he's over in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken, enjoying the old Opry. But listen, man, we're going to get into this show, man, because we got a whole lot to pack in. And we're going to begin with this slide right here. In week 9, Havoc, who do you think was most clutch?
Wow. Week 9, who was the most clutch? My answer is going to surprise people because obviously a Jaguar fan, but CJ Stroud was my most clutch player for week 9. He dominated the entire game. He had 5 touchdown passes. He passed for 470 yards, passer rating of 147.8. 5 touchdowns. And he only needed 45 seconds to lead a fourth quarter comeback and game-winning drive against, and Steve's not here today, Steve Dalton's Buccaneers. All of 45 seconds. And guys, to me, I keep up with stats like this, fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. That, to me, is the definition of clutch. Tom Brady made a career out of fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. So it looks like CJ Stroud has some comeback kid in him. He was my most clutch player.
Hey, and if I'm not mistaken, we'll have to go back and fact check this, but I think Russell Wilson is the leader in comebacks. I'm not sure, but we're going to have to look that up. But I think I read that one time that Russ might have one of the better records in comebacks. But yeah, that CJ Stroud, man. Oh my God. I'm watching this guy and I'm thinking a little bit, this looked like the second coming of Deshaun Watson. Now everybody they don't remember what Watson was. Okay, let's think about it. Let's dial it back. Let's move all the massages out of the way. Okay, and let's remember what it was like when Watson and D-Hop was in Texas. And this is starting to look a lot. This is starting to look a lot like it. I mean, it seems like and maybe Watson was a little. I don't know how many years Watson was in Houston, but it seemed like he was a little bit more stronger, a little bit more mature. But this is the rookie year for CJ, and that kid is lighting up. What do you say, Coach?
Well, Barry, since we got a manual transmission on this thing, it's going to be a lot of driving and a lot of legs getting tired. So in that case, I actually got tandem drivers.
All right.
And Havoc hit on the first driver, who was CJ Stroud. I mean, dude, to me, best quarterback in the league right now. Don't care about what other teams are doing. Best quarterback play in the league right now is CJ Stroud. 1 interception. Who cares if he only got, 16, 17 touchdowns? He don't need 27 right now. But on the path he's on, dude, we're looking at 35 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I'll take that all day long out of a rookie.
Wow.
He blowing it wide open. I mean, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 470 yards, 45 seconds to go win a ball game. What rookie are you going to tell to go do that? You ain't even going to tell that to a vet because he going to tell you that ain't in my contract.
Exactly.
But the other guy who's driving that truck with him that was straight clutch is Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
You show up, you don't practice, you don't take one snap with your squad, and you go out and you're on time and rhythm and everything. See, Josh Dobbs is what you call the seasoning that you would put on the meat.
Mm.
The meat gonna go bad in a certain amount of days. But you can season that, you can take that seasoning and put it in the pantry, and it can sit there for months.
Preserving it.
Before you even have to worry about seasoning something else again. So he's what I call the seasoning of a seasoned vet. So my
100%.
two clutch players is a rookie and a seasoning of a vet.
Hey, listen. I kind of had a hunch that you guys were going to say those 2 guys. Coach got on my dog slide real quick, so I had to throw it up. Listen, this kid right here, I think I looked it up. If I'm not mistaken, he's 28 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at this right here. Pittsburgh, Jags, Steelers, Browns, Lions, Titans, Browns, Cardinals did. Look, it's a 2023. He was on the Browns, the Cardinals, and the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys, I bet you didn't know this about this kid. He is an aerospace engineer, a rocket scientist.
A rocket scientist.
This
From
kid,
Tennessee.
this kid is a rocket scientist.
Rocky Top.
Hey, man, this kid right here, man, he got some dog in him. He's raw. He ain't perfect, but his heart and the way that he compete. Now, listen, sometimes you will find a big macho guy that's macho. You expect for him to be a brawler on the field. But an aerospace engineer playing quarterback, he got some dog in him, man. I don't know what it's going to turn out to be for him. It might just be one of those feel-good stories. I don't know. But I've seen enough to know that he'll die out there on that field. He'll die out there on that field trying and to hop off of a plane. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, that was against the Falcons too. That was down in the Mercedes-Benz, right? Hopped off of a plane and went in there and stole one and stole one from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see this kid, man, just have an opportunity to go out there and just compete, man. And it's the Minnesota Vikings, they on a streak right now, right? They on a 4-game winning streak.
4, yeah.
4-game winning streak. It's unreal what's going on. This is a story to watch. I mean, I love these stories right here because it's those unexpected things that I've heard even some of our guys just cuss this guy out or whatever. But look, man, everybody's not going to be Tom Brady. Everybody's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. You need some of these stories right here in the league to show you that there's levels to the game, and a lot of people have get opportunities, man. We don't know what's going to happen. And the NFC we just talked about, that's pretty much wide open. You know, with the exception of the Eagles, I know some may say San Francisco, but San Francisco going to have to come out and show us something this week, right?
They play the Jags this week. That's going to be a ball game for them. That's
right.
not a layup.
You playing the Jags. So ain't no telling what's going to happen. That might be number 4. I'm just saying, man. Hey, look, man. Joe Wakanda. We had this slide, I guess, a few weeks back. And
Week 2.
I was questioning, heavily questioning, my beloved LSU 2019 national champion. He put up 82 yards in the first game, if I'm not mistaken. The whole game. Coach said that he hadn't ran out of vibranium. I was questioning, had Joe ran out of vibranium? Now I'm asking myself, has the king returned to the throne? Talk to me, Coach.
Yes. Like I told you, you can't count Joe Burrow out. But what Havoc said earlier, you should have arrested him instead of being out there on that calf. Because now you got him in a situation where Joe Burrow is going to be able to go out there and get Cincinnati to the playoffs. But the seed is going to be so low that he's going to have to face a higher competition when he goes into the playoffs. Joe really needed to rest, but the vibranium is flowing through his system right now. What he did the other night against the Bills made us not on. See, this is what we overlooked. We didn't look at the fact that Joe had went and ate the purple flower and gotten better. We were looking at Josh Allen,
Right.
the fake Panther, who wanted to come in and infiltrate.
Right.
Wakanda.
Yeah.
But what happened when you had that battle? We found out who the real Panther was.
Facts.
And the Panther was Joe. And we could sit and say, well, Buffalo played so-and-so and Cincinnati played so-and-so. No, they fought each other. So that's the Wakanda story for you. Joe went and ate the purple flower, and he came back, and he took over Wakanda the way it was in the beginning.
And look damn good doing it. Because when I see this kid, I'm like, oh, he just started looking like the old Joe. He looked like the Joe of old, the LSU Joe. What was it, first, second year Joe come into the league battling, putting them hands on Mahomes. I'm talking about, I'm telling you right now, when Joe is like he was for the last couple of weeks, because if I'm not mistaken, the Bengals have won 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Listen, I don't know that they won't end up as the number 1 or number 2 seed. How we know? I'm telling you, we need to go back and look at those numbers, and look at the schedule. But Joe couldn't run the table.
Well, only argument I would have on that is he's also playing 2 other teams in his own division who are at a high level right now in the Ravens and the Steelers.
I ain't worried about the Steelers, but the Ravens,
But the Ravens, they in the mix.
Right.
Cleveland ain't looking bad either. They still all got to face each other. So that's what I'm saying. I think if Joe had been able to rest when they had those first meetings with some of them teams, then they wouldn't have came out and played the same way, because you're going to set your game plan for Joe Burrow.
Right.
Not a Joe Burrow with a bum calf, or Joe Burrow LSU doing it like in the national championship game and in the SEC championship. No, none of that is in the stats. All we got is Joe Burrow, how we played him last year, how we going to play him this year, what schemes are we going to do, how we going to disguise. So if I'm playing just throw it out there because he was unemployed at the time, but if I'm throwing in a Josh Dobbs, I don't know nothing about Joe the next time that we play him other than what other teams have done with Joe.
Right.
But Joe killed us with this scheme. Is he gonna come out and run this? Because the scheme that he killed us with, all the other teams that we watched him against, he didn't run that scheme.
Right.
They had Josh Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said,
somebody like a Josh Dobbs might would have, if you could have got somebody like that, they might could have kept you afloat and won a game or two.
all he needed was 2 wins. All he needed was just play 4 ball games.
Yeah. They should have listened to you, Havoc. Talk to me, Havoc.
And I want to go back to Josh Dobbs after this because I have a good point to make about Josh Dobbs.
Okay.
But has Burrow regained the vibranium? Guys,
Yeah.
I said this when the year started. Burrow starts slow, and he picks up as the year goes along. Burrow
did.
does this every year. He plays great in November, December, January, February, and he starts slow. And this year, remember, guys, hurt his calf in training camp. Didn't get a training camp. Didn't even practice. Everyone poo-pooed what I said. Oh, that doesn't matter. Oh, he's fine. This, that, other. No, Burrow was really injured. Now, he was stubborn and played through an injury, and I wouldn't have let him do that as a head coach. But for whatever reason, he was able to play. He was allowed to play, and it worked out the way it did. And now they're picking up steam. Now the talent of that team is really starting to show. The T. Higgins, the Jamar Chases, the Tyler Boyd. They've got 3
Mixon.
good receivers. Joe Mixon. And even though they have a bad offensive line, when you have 3 weapons like that and can run the ball with Mixon, it kind of negates that bad offensive line. And then they've got some good pass rushers on defense with Trey Hendrickson and Hubbard on the other end. They've got some good pass rushers. So the Bengals, they're a dangerous team. Now, the only thing I will say about the Bengals is I would worry about the Ravens. Right now, the Ravens defense is the best in the league. They give up 14.5 points per game in this era. That's a scary defense.
Yeah.
Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. And the last time the Ravens had a defense this good was 2000 when they gave up 10 points a game and won the Super Bowl.
Well, have they been? But have they been? Have they played a potent offense too? Like
that's the solid argument, Barry. I'm not sure if the Ravens could handle the Bengals, but they have the talent this year. So those are going to be some interesting matchups. I would still say it favors Burrow because he's just playing unbelievable right now. This is Burrow's time. November to February is Burrow time. We can that might have to be a t-shirt, but it's Burrow time right now.
Burrow time.
Yeah, that's when it's cold.
What's your dog come in?
Joshua Dobbs. Here's what I was going to say. You guys saw how he had a slow start to his career. There's another quarterback that he reminds me of that was a former MVP and got a team to a Super Bowl, Rich Gannon. Gannon also started as a backup for about 5 to 6 seasons and became a late bloomer for the Oakland Raiders. He was a career backup for the Vikings and then for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he picked up as his career went along. And my point on that, he's proof of why you don't give up on these quarterbacks so early. Teams need to stop giving up so early on the quarterbacks. Like, if they're not good enough yet, make them a backup. And Zach Wilson's an example. If he's never going to be ready to be a starter, he can be a backup. Look at Geno Smith. Look at Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs reminds me a lot of Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon didn't have the greatest arm, and he ended up winning an MVP and taking a team to the Super Bowl.
See, the thing is, though, see, Havoc, now you touching on some nerves. Okay, because here's the thing. You asking these owners to shut their ears on these crime fanatics when they screaming about, we want somebody else. We ain't gonna come to the game. Fridays and Fridays. See, how you gonna deal with? Because what you're asking somebody to do is a sensible thing. Like Coach said, I'm talking about Alabama in the famous dumpster juice segment where he said, "Can you develop anybody?" That's what he said. Can you develop it? Now you asking them to develop talent, and I tend to agree with you, but it seems like we're in a time to where if you don't win quick, you out of there.
And one last point about Dobbs. Why didn't the Giants make an offer? Giants have 2 quarterbacks that got injured. Daniel Jones is out for the rest of the year. Why didn't the Giants make a call?
Because they don't believe in him. Nobody does. But what he just did proved that you can actually believe in this guy. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at though his NFL career and the teams that was up there, you could literally look at that as a measuring for some type of meal that you're putting together. Put about 17, 19 ounces of Steelers in it, about 21 ounces of Jaguar. Don't forget to put a little bit of that Cleveland Brown in it, and make sure at the end you put the same amount of Minnesota and Arizona in it. It sounds like a recipe. And what is it a recipe for? A guy who can come out and actually win a ball game for you. So he's the prime example of what a true backup really is. When you get down to your backup, your team shouldn't panic.
No.
And the reason why your team shouldn't panic, your fan base shouldn't panic, your team owner shouldn't panic, the organization shouldn't panic, is because you got a guy like that that can come in and replace your starter. I mean, it ain't no different than saying he's the manager of the business, I'm the assistant manager of the business, and he's on vacation next week. Who running the joint?
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, guys, because how many times have we seen? Now, I think a lot of people hold Fitz in high regard. They say he's very smart. I'm not sure, but did he go to Stanford? I'm not sure.
Harvard.
But
He went to
Harvard. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, Andrew Luck. You're thinking of Andrew Luck. He went to Stanford.
Okay. I know both of those are supposed to be very, very cerebral guys.
Yeah.
Now, Dobbs, the aerospace engineer, journeyman football player, what will he do? Let's just hope he does a lot better than this dude. Oh. Okay, listen. We had the show and we talked about, we said, was the first round draft pick in itself a bust? We all talked about it. Okay. Nobody wants to call Bryce right now a bust. But if this was his only season, and this is his only season, it's been terrible.
Yeah.
It's been downright terrible, and nobody can say that it is. Now, I ain't saying he a gold digger, but 3 picks. Hey, have it. Did the Tide hide the real Bryce Young?
I'm going to say no. That's the real Bryce Young we saw in college. And the reason why is, guys, Bista, coach, everyone watching at home, this is what happens when you play a quarterback in a bad situation. If you know that you're going to draft a young player, I would have used the Carson Palmer formula that Cincinnati used when they had Carson Palmer. They had John Kitna, an established veteran, and they told Carson, you're going to be the backup year 1, you're going to start year 2. These are the consequences of playing Bryce in a bad situation. I know it sounds like a cop-out. I know it sounds like I'm defending him, but he really doesn't have a lot to work with. When you're drafted number 1 overall, you go usually into a bad situation. Peyton Manning's rookie year, he threw 28 interceptions. Now, some quarterbacks do great. I know why Panthers fans are frustrated because Cam's rookie year, he balled out and played amazing football and threw 400 yards in his first game. That's not the reality with Bryce Young. People and Carolina fans have to keep that in perspective. It's not the same team Cam Newton inherited. It's not. There's not a lot of talent here. Bryce doesn't have a lot to work with. And again, it's going to sound like repetitive, but it's going to require patience. This might be a 5-year plan with Bryce Young. You might not see results till year 2, 3, 4. Remember, Eli Manning, everyone was calling him a bust in 2006, the year before they won the Super Bowl. Eli didn't start to play better until year 3, year 4. It's going to take time with Bryce Young. And Carolina fans, he's still a darn good player. I still believe in Bryce Young. It's just going to require more patience than a Will Levis or a CJ Stroud. Those guys went into better situations than Bryce Young did. Both of them.
Hold on. Slow down, Habit. Now, Eli had Big Brother hanging over his back, so everybody comparing him to Big Brother, right? Now, listen. And Daddy. Okay. See, Coach and I went and got the dad, and I brought the dad into this the whole trifecta, right? Hey, listen, Habit. I can't let you say that going number 1, you was on a bad team, and then, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Stroud was number 2. How good was Houston? Okay, so we got to come down and we got to think about this a little bit. Now, yes, I do believe that the Panthers, I mean, come on, the Panthers historically bad, in my opinion. But listen, you still got to be better than this. You're the number 1 draft pick. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what nobody say. If you put CJ on the Panthers, they're a better team. They are.
Well, I want to say something about that. Remember that same draft with Eli and Phillip Rivers? Like Ben Roethlisberger bloomed right away, just like CJ Stroud's doing. So that does happen too, Barry. CJ Stroud's off to a great start, but we're going to have to see if he can maintain that. Now, he's doing fantastic, and I'm not going to take anything away from him.
Yeah. Listen, we got to see if all of them can maintain. Yeah. Hey, I'm looking at the body of work right now, and I'm gonna tell you, man. I hear all this talk about the SEC my whole life. I've been an NFL guy. I dipped and dabbed into the college world, right? I hear all this talk. Okay, CJ Stroud is making a liar out of a lot of these people. Okay, now this guy right here, he won the Heisman. Now, do we think that any of these quarterbacks that's coming into the league, I mean, that's about to come into the NFL next year, would be a better fit than Bryce?
You mean in Carolina or
in Carolina? In Carolina. In Carolina. Listen, I'm gonna tell you just like this, man. In my opinion, I'm gonna tell you right now. I believe that they had so much in Alabama. They had so much talent everywhere. It made him look better than he actually is. I'm not saying he's not good at all, but I think that he needs more than a CJ Stroud or a Richardson, because Richardson can't stay in the game, so I can't give him too much credit. But I think he needs more than those other guys. What say you, Coach? What's up, Dalton?
Coach,
Well,
let me get a word in real quick.
all right, go for it.
Hey, I am live here at the Gaylord Opryland Hotel. I ain't got a voice. Had a couple of shots of bourbon. Yeah. All right, let me tell you, I'm enjoying this buffet. Let me show you this little place right here. I don't know if it'll actually let me turn the camera around. But, hey, I had to check in on my boys. I knew y'all was live. I am ashamed that I can't be on this show. But, man, the party is here. This place is immaculate.
Nice.
NFL week, hosted by your own Beast of Kane. Just wanted to come on here and apologize for not being on the show. But I hope y'all have a hell of a show. I'm going to hop backstage and get off here and let y'all do
before
work.
Before you go, just know that Havoc already brought up your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have lost 4, and then I lost 4 in a row.
Hey,
Baker Mayfield.
Win them all, but they're still in the worst division in the NFL, so they can still win it. And Baker Mayfield's been playing good, so don't be shocked if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers still win the division. And I'll tell you this, don't also be shocked. Come Thanksgiving, Steve Dalton returns home and walks up into Kroger and buys the most expensive meat you could find and
I'll
goes and
find it.
cooks it out for all the chopping block.
All
So be
right.
looking out for that. But just wanted to join on here. Thoroughbred Havoc. I got to mention you real quick, too. The CCW former tag
Ugh.
team champion just dropped the belt. I didn't think it would
Complete
ever happen.
fluke. Complete fluke. Once in a lifetime. It's a lottery moment for him. Complete fluke. It was luck. And I wasn't the one
Well,
pinned. My
it
inferior
was an
tag partner
absolute
was the one that
honor.
lost. Not me.
It was an absolute honor calling that contest live on Surge. You might see it this Friday night on YouTube. But let me tell you, you'll have another shot at Stampede, and if you don't, I'd be shocked. So I think January something, Stampede will return. CCW will be at the top of the world again. And we're hoping for a sellout crowd, 650, 700 people. So if you get a chance to come down to Jacksonville, and, you can watch the Jaguars, but the best thing to watch is Continental Championship Wrestling and Thoroughbred Havoc's demise. So it's been a pleasure jumping on here for just a second. I'm going to go back in here to the party, enjoy a glass of whiskey, but I'll catch you fellas later. I'll be backstage listening in.
Thanks
Cheers,
for joining
pal.
us, Digo.
Hey, bump me out of here.
All right.
And we all gonna have fillets that's about that big around and about that thick.
Woo, that sounds good. Hey,
Yeah.
Coach, did the Tide hide?
Okay, this is what the Tide done. Is they gonna make me end up backing up the truck?
Ah.
Because the bottom line is this, fellas. Carolina is trash, and Bryce Young is playing like trash. Doesn't matter what he is as a quarterback, what he was as a quarterback, how good he can be as a quarterback. Buddy, right now you playing like trash. That pick six that you threw, you probably hadn't thrown that since you was 10 years old. But you know what? Them grown men out there got you shook.
Period.
See, you got to realize, when you was at Alabama, y'all were the grown men. When you played Alabama, that's when they say Alabama could go out and beat an NFL team. Well, guess what? You was on the NFL team in college. Now you got to look at it. The scale done balanced out. Pro and pro. And the thing about these pros is, you might be playing a guy on the defensive front who's from the University of Delaware. But he a grown man from Delaware. So, to me, yeah, Alabama, you kind of hid Bryce Young by having him on such a great squad his entire college career, to where he actually had to get to a point to where you realize it ain't about me putting on a hat and saying I'm going to spend my next 3 to 4 years at the University of Alabama. It's with the first overall pick in the 2023 draft, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young. No choice, buddy. So what did Bryce Young do? You went from Alabama to Alabama State. So that whole organization right now is trash, because all you did was that Tide, it just got high up in Carolina on the coast, and now we watching the Tide recede back out, and all the little clams and everything else that's in the mud and the sand is being exposed in Carolina. Your offensive line can't block nobody. You ain't got no running game, and you got no real threat. And when I say threat, I ain't talking about, the players that he got on the team. You don't have a threat out wide. So it's the whole organization to me, Barry, that it wasn't just Alabama, but right now, what Alabama done was y'all allowed the best player in college football to go to the worst football team in the NFL. Maybe that's what a lot of these kids ought to think about when they signing these NIL deals, is don't worry about the money that you can get in the first round.
That's right.
Because obviously you can be the best thing flying in college football and come out, and in pro, you ain't even got a feather to keep you warm in January.
This reminds me, man, of these examples in life when you see these people born with silver spoons,
Mhm.
and then you see somebody come out and they get it out the mud.
That was a
Now,
TV show.
I don't know nothing about how C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson or some of these other guys or Bryce. I think Bryce. I don't know a lot about him, but I kind of think I got a little bit on him. Now, I'm not one of these people who think that you got to come from the streets or from the gutter to be worthy of praise. I'm not that guy because I think you give a kid the best start that you can give them. But I will say it is something about coming out that gutter that give you something a little bit, something else extra to it. And I think that this guy here is, like I tell people all the time, you never see a person with a greater smile. And I don't understand. I guess right now he's so bad that nobody wants to give him a commercial. But I think I have seen him on at least the Heisman commercials. But
And look what he's doing.
huh?
And on the Heisman commercial, look what he's doing.
He washing somebody's car or something. They
And,
doing
and
something.
taking out the trash. He doing all the little.
Take out the trash. And but I will say, man, I love this guy. I really do. But I'm very interested in these backstories. And when I see people coming from other places in college football that maybe I understand now what they'll tell me, well, he played at Ohio State and they'll make Ohio State look like just a dog now because something good came out of it. But if we were just talking about it, it wouldn't be saying much about it. But C.J. Stroud, I don't care what nobody say, is better than Bryce Young, and he should have been the number 1 draft pick, in my opinion.
And I still to this day say it to everybody. C.J. Stroud is the only quarterback that the University of Georgia played, and I was scared.
Yeah, you did say that. You did.
Well, another point on Stroud, Barry. Can we finally go back and say the size does matter for a quarterback? C.J. Stroud and Will Levis are both 6'3" to 6'4", 215 to 240 pounds. Bryce Young, I love him as a guy, and he can throw a football well, but he just does not have these measurables, guys.
And if you don't have the size, does matter. And if you don't have the measurables, you got to be above average in your head, and you got to have a dog in you. Because I've seen guys that were not sized that would lay that wood to you. They would hit you. You understand me? So, but what I'm saying, he don't seem to be that guy. He seemed to me to be, just a guy that you would want to marry your daughter. Just a good dude. You know what I mean? I'm not saying the guy don't have talent, but what I am saying is he don't look like he got that dog in him. He just don't look like he got that dog in him to me. Now, he may prove us wrong. I'm not saying, for the record, I'm not saying that he won't ever be. But I always take a little grain of salt when I see people come from Georgia and when I see them come from Alabama. When you got 5 stars at every position, you got the greatest coaches. It's going to look different when you go to Alabama State, like Coach just said.
Well, Barry, real quick, one last thing on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you make a good point, especially because, I know he hasn't been playing great lately, but Brock Purdy went to Iowa State, 4-year starter, had nothing playing there. He wasn't playing with the talent that Bryce Young played with. I doubt there's anyone that played with Purdy. Oh, there's one guy, Breece Hall, that made the NFL on Purdy's team.
Well, you know what? I wish you had that conversation with me 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because for the last 3 weeks, he been really looking like what he's supposed to look like.
Oh, he's been bad, but he still has accolades that other players don't have. He's been to an NFC championship game. Lamar Jackson's never gone to a conference championship.
But let's think about it. But let's think about it this way too. In Bryce Young's defense,
yeah.
What if Bryce Young was on San Francisco?
Yeah, that's a fair argument. It's a lot more quarterbacks.
What would that look like? I'm not saying that Bryce Young has everything he needs to be successful.
No.
But to me, you got to be better than what he's playing.
Yeah.
But speaking of success, Jalen Hurts them boys
Mhm.
sent old Dak packing and America's team. Is Jalen the true star of the Eagles, Coach?
Jalen is the offensive star / his wide receiver, who's definitely the star on offense. But the star for the Eagles is the defense.
Uh-oh.
That hit they put on Dak Prescott down there in the red zone, dude, I'm surprised that his body didn't go back a billion years and he turned into a pterodactyl. That defense is nasty, man. And you know, but Jalen is the leader of the team. And when I say the leader of the team, nobody else, win or lose after a ball game, has the answer to the press
Mm,
like Jalen.
right.
And he always answers professionally.
Mm-hmm.
There are no more Marshawn Lynch's in the league that's just gonna tell you I'm just here so that they don't find me.
Right.
Well, you ain't too fun to talk to, but you know we got issues or questions about your team, and we can't get no answers. Well, Jalen will give you the answer, but after he get through giving you the answer, guess where all the weight is, so that y'all can leave everybody else alone. It's on my shoulders, and it really ain't even no weight.
Mm.
So I look at, Jalen Hurts is the leader of that football team. And what's his wide receiver?
AJ Brown.
Brown.
Jay Brown. Brown is the star wide receiver. And that defense is the backbone of the team.
You know what, Coach? I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy that, but I'm gonna add one more thing to that. Jalen Hurts is special.
Mm-hmm.
Now, historically, I rode Jalen Hurts the whole time because a lot of people, even a lot of Alabama fans, they wanted Tua, and rightfully so. Tua won them a national championship. I get it, but somebody as I mean, Jalen won. He was a big winner. They might say again, he didn't win the game that we needed him to win, whatever. But guess what? We don't know what he would have did, but you gave up on him. So here's what I'm trying to say. If Jalen Hurts, he's presidential. Like you said, he does everything right. He trains right. He speaks to the press right. He leads his team right. He is the model. The NFL couldn't ask for a better player and face of the league than Jalen Hurts. Okay? Now, the boy has even exceeded what I thought he was going to be. I understand he had some flaws in his game. But what I'm starting to recognize is he's so dialed in. He's so tough. He's almost unstoppable. And I venture to say, when we get down to some slides at the end, we're going to have some discussion. But what I'm going to say is Jalen Hurts is the unquestionable star of the Philadelphia Eagles. What say you, Havoc?
Yeah, he's definitely the star, although the Eagles, rightfully so, do have a lot of talent on that offense. They got DeAndre Swift. They've got A.J. Brown on the outside. They've got Devontae Smith. They've got Dallas Goedert at tight end. So they've done a great job of surrounding Jalen Hurts with talent. Solid offensive line, too, with Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson. Really solidly built team. So with that being said, though, Jalen Hurts is still the star because what the coach has been able to do, Nick Sirianni, he's designed a system that completely fits Jalen Hurts' talent, and the team is committed to it. You don't see this team trying to throw 60 passes a game, trying to turn Jalen Hurts into Peyton Manning. No, they let Jalen Hurts be a true dual threat. And what is dual threat, guys? It means run and pass on every play. That's why this team is so dangerous, because you don't know on each play what Jalen Hurts is going to do. When it's a read option, a design run, an RPO, he might keep the football or he might keep it and hit A.J. Brown deep down the field. They've brought the spread offense to the NFL, and they've proven that it can work. RPO does work in the NFL if you have the right talent. The key word is if, and this team does. They committed to Jalen Hurts. They built their whole team around him and allowed him to be the star. Other teams need to take note of what Nick Sirianni's done. And if you have a dual threat quarterback, let him dual threat. Don't try to turn them into Tom Brady. That's not what these type of quarterbacks are, these Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jacksons. If you commit to playing football this way, which is dual threat RPO, you can win this way. It's just not traditional.
Justin Fields.
Right. And the Bears need to reconstruct their offense in a similar way to what the Eagles have done with Hurts. Fields could succeed if they did that formula.
Mm-hmm. And Josh Allen. He falls under that formula.
Yeah.
You know what, man? The funny thing about Josh Allen, and let me say this from the outset. Let me say this. Dude, the way you be bringing that information, boy, you be getting me hyped. It's like every time you bring it, it's just like you in that wrestling ring part and just brawling. Now, I'm gonna throw my haters a bone, because I know I will. I can hear them right now saying, well, sure, Jalen is doing so good. He has everything. And I'll give, and like I said, I'll throw you a bone. I don't know what Jalen would be if he was on the Carolina Panthers, right? I don't know that. But you have to make the best of the situation that you're in. And that's what he's doing. He's taking, listen, you gave it to him and he took you to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It'll be different. This man touches the ball on every play. Okay, and he was just thrown away in Alabama. He was just thrown away. So much so he had to go to Oklahoma?
Yeah, Oklahoma. Yeah. Oh, Barry, sorry, real quick. I did want to say something about Jalen Hurts, though. I think it makes a difference that he backed up Carson Wentz for 12 games as a rookie. I think that really makes a difference. Bryce Young didn't have that luxury. And Carson Wentz, people are going to poo-poo this and laugh, but at one point, he was a solid top 10 NFL quarterback.
He was.
Mm-hmm. He was.
And Jalen Hurts backed him up for 12 games. He didn't have to play right away.
You know what, man? That's a great point. And that's one reason why I feel like Bryce Young can benefit from playing behind the rooster.
Yep. I said that a long time ago.
You know?
He should have.
Yeah, and they just want to throw these guys out there. And look, I could have told you after a couple of games, Bryce Young ain't the kind you just put out there and just unless you just want to throw away the season. He ain't the one to put out there because, like you said, Havoc, he's small. And I mean, I saw one time when he lined up behind, he wasn't even behind the center, and the running back had to push him over to be behind. Listen, man, I've been in situations to where they were bigger than I was, right? I've been in that. If you are ever trying to do something great and you want to challenge yourself, sometimes you got to be in some uncomfortable positions, right? And I'm pretty sure that this is a uncomfortable position for Bryce Young. And like I said, I love the kid. I want to see him grow, and I hope he is able to grow. But I do believe that he had a false sense of reality coming from Alabama when you had everything around you. And like Coach said, now you playing against grown men, you know, and things going to look a little bit different. Hey, listen, It seems like all we doing today is talking about Alabama quarterback.
Roll Tide.
This is like the Alabama quarterback carousel. But hey, it's great stories, right? And we wouldn't be the chopping block if we didn't hit you with the right stories, right? So listen, has Tua MVP hopes swam to the bottom of the sea? Talk to me, Coach.
Well, to me, Tua reminds me in this segment of a little character that I used to watch on TV as a kid. And they called him Flipper. Now, Flipper wasn't around until there was a little bit of trouble most of the time. But you was wondering where was Flipper at when you really needed him.
That's right.
Okay. Well, that's what Tua is to me, you know. And then you say, well, how would he be Flipper? This is how I trained a dolphin at Disney World. I hold up a cupcake, he'll come out the water and he'll slide all the way back for it. But when I bring some real meat to the table, where's Flipper? So he hadn't swam to the bottom of the sea, but right now he's a dolphin that don't know how to come near shore unless you got cupcakes for him.
Wow. And that, hey, Havoc, do you agree?
Well, Tua's MVP hopes have swam to the bottom of the sea for this season. I want to say something about Tua and the Dolphins. They're almost there, guys. They're so close. They're like, right before Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan's Bulls. They're close. They're close, but they're not there yet. Every time they play a bigger dog in the yard, they get bit. And it happens every time. The Dolphins, they're still little brother. Whenever they play a team that's solid, that's not a bad NFL team with a bad defense, I like Tua. He's accurate. He just does not get it done. And I can't defend it. He's got to win a big game sooner rather than later. Because if not, he's going to be known as just a guy that can get you to the playoffs but can't win any playoff games. Another Dak Prescott. That's the trajectory Tua's on.
Yeah, and I think Dak is better, to be honest with you. And I don't care what nobody say, I do. Listen, man, Dak can play after 3 seconds after the ball has been snapped. If you watch Tua, what he is great at, and this is what we saw that allowed him to win the national championship, he's got a quick trigger.
Yeah.
After that 3 seconds, where he dropped back, typically 3 seconds, drop back, Tyreek's open, Wilder's open, boom, throw the ball, they go 40, 50 yards. Okay? When that is not there, guys, it's doom. It's doom. Go back and watch it. When it gets down, when it gets to that 4th to 5th second, and he ain't got nothing, he's sacked.
Yeah.
He's sacked or he's going to fumble. Now, they might say, well, he ain't fumbling a whole lot, but listen, that fumble that he had and that fumble that Tyreek had, them were 2 bad fumbles. And you know what I did? I laughed and I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. Let me tell you why. I watched Tyreek on television. He said, oh, man, I already got me a special celebration that I'm going to do it after I score a touchdown. And I'm going to go and let Andy Reid know how wrong he was to let me go and to trade me. Guess how many touchdowns he scored? 0. None. And like I've been saying, so goes Tyreek Hill, so goes the Dolphins. You want to tell me who the star is? We asked the question in the last segment, is Jalen the star on the Eagles? Well, is Tua the star on the Dolphins? I think not. It's Tyreek Hill. And Havoc is right. Coach is right. If it ain't a cupcake, they not eating.
Mhm.
If it's not a cupcake, they're not eating. So this team, right, to me, like Having just said, listen, man. Okay, let's be for real on this segment real quick. Jalen Waddle will be a number one receiver
Mhm.
anywhere else.
Carolina.
He would be a number one receiver. So you mean to tell me you got two number one receivers? And you can't beat a big dog? You keep getting bit?
Hmm.
Dude, it's something going on with them Dolphins. And it ain't pretty. And they thought that these boys down here in the bottom, Tyreek and Kelsey, they thought they had a cupcake, but it was some dogs standing behind them. And listen, so I'm gonna say it like this. One, I'm gonna give Tua some credit. He's upright. Whatever he did, they said he did some training and everything. He's learned how to slide. He's taking care of himself, and I love that because I don't ever want to see this kid get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, they say if he ever can stay healthy, he's going to be terrific. And listen, he has been terrific against mediocre talent,
Yeah.
and that's not good enough in the NFL. Hey, guys, let's take a look at the current playoff picture. Okay? And you guys tell me, are you surprised? Do you see some more people coming? And let's start with the AFC. What are you thinking, Havoc?
I'm a little surprised by the Cleveland Browns. I'm not going to lie. And now the one thing, the team that I think could sneak in there, and I know that it's going to become a recurring joke on this show, but the Chargers, unless Brandon Staley does his usual thing of ruining the team, I think the Chargers could sneak in over the Browns just because of the overall talent they've got. Now, the difference is the Browns have a much better head coach. That head coach, the way he's coached Cleveland with Deshaun Watson's situation and him being injured and not being injured and being cleared to play and not deciding to go back in the game when the doctor cleared him, that's been a weird situation, and they've still won ball games, no matter who's been at quarterback. Nick Chubb tore his, had I forgot what injury it was. It was pretty sure it was a knee injury.
Knee, yeah.
The year, still winning ball games. They re-signed Kareem Hunt, brought him back. Everything's been fine. So the Browns have been surprising me. I think they've been getting a little lucky, though, and eventually talent beats luck. So I would say, again, with the grain of salt because of their coach, but the Chargers have enough talent to replace the Browns there.
Okay. Let me push back a little bit, Havoc. You say talent beats luck. Browns got talent.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of injuries, Barry.
They do, but they get the quarterback back, and the defense is playing great, and they have a they have a decent run game. Hey, they're strong, and I thought if you would put anybody in the Browns' place, why not Houston?
They're almost there too. I want to. I mean, they're close, but it's like the Dolphins. They're close. They're almost there. The Houston. They need a couple more pieces.
Yeah, I agree. They may need a couple more pieces, but I think they're good enough to beat the Chargers and the Browns, in my opinion. And in fact, we're going to look at that schedule a little bit after this. In fact, it might be the next slide. We're going to look at that schedule and see what's happening. Hey, Coach, what do you think about this AFC picture?
Well, this AFC picture is, if you go all the way back to the NFL preseason show, and we had the segment on here, which division that we think was the most competitive, I said the AFC North.
Same.
We got all four teams in the AFC North right now in the playoff picture. So the Dolphins, the Jags, and the Chiefs is showing that your division is a little bit shaky. You can't afford to lose in it.
Yeah.
But as far as the Browns, the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens, all y'all have to face each other again. But if you dominate the other teams that you're playing, y'all are still in the same boat. The only thing that I can see is the biggest shakeup right now for the AFC North in this picture is which one of y'all will be in the Ravens spot.
Mm.
But all four of the AFC North teams are right now in the playoff picture. And like I said, to me, that was the most competitive division. And it wasn't to me being competitive as who's going to win the division. I felt that that was going to be the division that had the most teams in the playoffs to begin with. But I didn't think it would be all four.
Well,
So-
the over the last they got, I guess this would be the last 5 weeks between all of them, there hasn't been a loss. Well, I don't want to say it like that, but they got 4 wins for the Ravens, a win for the Steelers, a win for the Browns, and 4 wins from the Bengals. They getting going. They getting at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it is going to be interesting how that shake out. But hey guys, I'm not believing in them Steelers. I'm going ahead. I'm not with that. Okay. Listen, I know they play for primarily to get Mike Tomlin a winning season. That seemed to be the most important, the stat of the season, instead of winning the Super Bowls. But man, it's just something. You talk about something's wrong having with some of these other teams. Is the Steelers not a little weird to you?
Yeah, I want to say something about that. Everyone who didn't appreciate Ben Roethlisberger, where are y'all at now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand how nobody couldn't appreciate Ben, but everybody remembers the recent history. Ben was bad on the way out, but man, that guy was such an exciting football player. If you love football, you gotta love Big Ben. And like I say, man, Josh Allen reminds me of Big Ben.
But that's what I was saying about. That's what I was saying about Pickett, the quarterback in Pittsburgh. What's his name?
Pickett. He
Yeah,
can be
Pickett.
brutal to watch.
Okay,
Man.
that's what I was saying about him. He don't take the chances.
No.
Big Ben took the chances. If you sat here and said, okay, trivia question for you, name an NFL quarterback with a Super Bowl ring who played in multiple playoff games and had a great career, would throw a ball into triple coverage with a minute and 2 seconds left in the ball game. It ain't but one person that'll do it. But
maybe
you know what?
Maybe 2.
Who else?
Favre, maybe.
Yeah, Brett Favre. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh, that's the reason why y'all really love Big Ben, is because he really took those type chances. This guy is coming in and he's trying to play Tom Brady-ish. I'm gonna manage this ball game for Mike Tomlin, and I'm gonna win it for him. In the clutch. No, dog. What you need to do is what Ben Roethlisberger did. You want to know why the run game was so good in Pittsburgh when everybody said Pittsburgh is known as a running team? The reason why it was known as a running team because you had a quarterback that was going to throw it 40 yards every chance that he got. You couldn't sit up there and not respect the pass. So you should be able to run the ball when you got Jerome Bettis and all the other guys that's done come through Pittsburgh as running backs. So to me, what the quarterback in Pittsburgh need to do, he need to take more chances. Doesn't matter if you succeed or not. That's the Pittsburgh way. Period.
I love it. I love it when you put it like that, because now I do see a semblance of Pittsburgh on defense.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels like Pittsburgh Steelers. But man, don't you remember the days of the bus?
Yeah.
Don't you remember those days, man? Man, it just, you gotta love the Steelers. If you love football and you don't get no euphoric feeling when you start thinking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, I question if you really love football, because that franchise, man, is football personified. Let's move to the NFC. What do you guys think about this? this thing to me is just, I mean, God, it's wide open. Is it not? Have it?
Yeah, I still have to say my most interesting team, it's the 49ers. Because when they're on and they're rolling, that's a hard team to beat. And then they added Chase Young to that defense. This team's got all the talent in the world, all the pieces. If they can get back to Brock Purdy playing like Trent Dilfer, like I said a couple weeks ago, then they're going to be fine. Also, I would say the Minnesota Vikings, although I don't think that'll stand. I think the Vikings, the Cinderella story will end at some point. Although I believe in Joshua Dobbs, I still think someone's going to creep up from the NFC and take that from them. Well, the Seahawks are already there. I was going to say them, but no. I don't see the Vikings getting in. And then the Lions, guys. The Lions, we'll see how real they are this year. We'll see if they're just a great regular season team or if, hey, this could be their year. They've got a lot of talent on that team. We'll see if Goff can get it done.
I'm not really buying Goff. He's going to have to prove it to me.
Yeah. So.
I'm still looking for them to go see the Wizard. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking for them to be the Lion King. I'm looking for them to go see the Wizard. What do you say, Coach?
Well, I see really 1, 2, and 3 as a deadlock. I don't see anybody in the NFC North really challenging the Lions right now. It ain't the Bears. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to challenge nobody. So, the Eagles is running away with it right now in the NFC period. 49ers and the Seahawks did exactly what I said could happen with 1 win and 1 loss. 49ers dropped 2 in a row. After they dropped that second one, they went down 3 slots. Seattle moved up 3. Turned right around. Seattle lost. San Francisco won. Look at the flop. So that division right there is balancing out on them two. So when I say 1, 2, and 3 are locked, that's just me saying that the 49ers is going to be there and the Seahawks are going to be there. Point blank, period. Now,
when you saw them Sunday, it don't look like they're going to be anywhere because they got the brakes beat off them.
But that was the thing about it. Notice you had to swallow your pride for a week. For 1 week going into that ball game, you was the division leader.
Yeah.
You came out of it not the division leader. So take your medicine, get back in the lab, and go back to work. So I see, like I said, that's why I see the Seahawks right there because they had to go take their medicine. The next time you play the 49ers, it's going to be late in the season. So now you got to look at it as that's going to be the deciding factor, whether it be 1, 2, 3 as a lot. As far as the Saints go, that division, I mean, I can't really tell you which way it'll go. The Falcons, they going to give it up. Carolina ain't got a shot. And Baker Mayfield, I'm telling you, stop believing in him. Now, if there's anybody who's had just as much ingredients in their seasoning bottle as Josh Dobbs is Baker Mayfield. It's just the only difference is Baker Mayfield is still ruining the meat. So somewhere along the lines, you got to get him out the cupboard.
Got to get him out.
So the Saints is the only thing that you can say is the upfront runner in the NFC South, unless the Falcons do one thing. You get Ritter to understand you are not the man.
They benched him.
No. When I say get him to understand he is not the man, that means no controversy. Get your agent to start going to work.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be an NFL quarterback, but you're going to be an NFL quarterback somewhere else.
Which is the reason why, I'm kind of like, I kind of hate that because it's just like what Havoc said earlier. You don't develop these guys.
Mm-mm.
And I really feel like the kid could have. I mean, they benched him and he was in first place. If I'm not mistaken.
Let me ask you guys' opinion on this. And a lot of people said you're crazy. They need to learn to adapt to this system. But I said that when you draft a quarterback onto your team is any first or second round pick, that those coaches for that organization, offensive coordinator especially, should reach out to the college coordinator to find out what is he most comfortable in, and then go back to your NFL lab and design it the way it should be designed for him, the way Havoc was saying earlier about if a kid is a running quarterback or a dual threat, do you make him a real dual threat instead of trying to turn him into something else? So do you think that an NFL organization should say, hey, we just got through drafting Bryce Young. We know who his offensive coordinator was, and he's no longer with the team. But should we reach out to him and say, what playbook did you have designed for Bryce that you felt he was the most comfortable in, so that we could go back and look and try to put him in some of them same situations?
My thoughts on that is, man, that's what the tape is for. You've been watching him. Why are you gonna draft him if you ain't been watching film after film after film after film on him? Now I'll say this: talk to them about what you don't see on the film. Talk to them about his character, what drives him. Those are intangible kind of things. Obviously, yeah, you can talk to him about the playbook. You can go in and say, okay, I see what I've seen on the film, but give me some, tell me what I don't see on the film. You can get that kind of information from those coordinators. I think you do everything that you can do to get all of the information that you need before you pull a trigger on a quarterback, because that's going to be one of your most expensive assets.
But they leave it up to the quarterback and the agent. You see what I mean? So when you're looking at drafting a Bryce Young, you're looking at Bryce Young highlights. So when I say look at Bryce Young highlights compared to what did you have in the playbook, it's like, okay, coach, we seen where he made this play right here. What was your original call? Well, we called such and such and such and such, but we told him if he's seen this or he's seen that to check to this. Well, guess what? That's what Bryce know. But what if you implicate that into the playbook? Now his whole offense know.
Right. I think that's a great point. And I think that that's when you get more of the, getting into those that, to me, the intelligence of the game. In fact, I have a slide that I'm going to bring to you guys at some point that's going to get into something. I can't wait to show y'all this, because I want to really pick your brain on these types of intangible pieces to the game to see which one that you favor when you look at players. But I think if you're going to draft a quarterback, and I'm sure I don't know if Havoc got something on this, but if you're going to draft a quarterback, you got to get every piece of information from everywhere that you can.
No, I definitely agree with both you guys, and Coach's point. I want to use an example. In 2011, when the Panthers drafted Cam Newton, Ken Dorsey was the quarterback's coach. I forget who the offensive coordinator was. Ken Dorsey is now the offensive coordinator for the Bills. But I can remember Ron Rivera instructing him, I want you to go back to his Heisman year at Auburn when he was undefeated and won the Heisman and find plays that Cam's comfortable with. And you could see in Cam's rookie year, they were running a lot of shotgun, a lot of read option, a lot of RPOs. And Cam Newton went on to win Rookie of the Year and an MVP. And they did what Coach said. They implemented a lot of Cam Newton's college offense from Auburn, not a fancy West Coast offense with 400 plays. No, they ran a simple RPO, what Jalen Hurts is running. college offense in the NFL. No, we're not allowed to say that because, it's not PC, this, that, or the other. NFL wants to pretend like they're special. No, you ran a college offense.
Yeah.
Just like the Eagles run. And it's fine. It works. NFL and college are interchangeable. They use pieces from each other. Why can't something in a different game of football work? It can work. It's still football. Grown men play each other on a football field, college and NFL.
That's exactly right. I think that it's getting to be more acceptable to have those types of conversations and to kind of blur the lines on the transition from college to pros and turner systems, because at the end of the day, we're starting to see a whole lot more dual threat quarterbacks, and the game is starting to look like college a little bit. You know what I mean? It really is. You know what I mean? So I do think that whenever you want to be successful, you got to put the person in. You got to consider who you're dealing with and put them in their best position to win. I mean, I think that's a perfect way to say it. Hey man, look, we're gonna do this. Look at these games real quick, and then we're gonna end up with something special. But I want you guys to kind of look at the schedule. Give me two games, 2-3 games that you're looking forward to in the upcoming week. I think there's some nice little some gems on here. I'm gonna start with you, Coach. What you looking forward to?
Well, that Carolina-Chicago game is intriguing to me for one reason. Where are we drafting? Not tanking the season, but you guys already know where you're at right now, that y'all in the early round and y'all up first. And the only way you're not up first, if you ain't, is because you done traded some picks away to other teams and that didn't balance out, and now you got to find a way to trade you back up or whatever. But I look at Carolina and Chicago. Y'all really need to draft real pieces of the puzzle that you need. So to y'all, it's not about a star. You can sit and say it's 6 quarterbacks coming out. Guess what? Chicago and Carolina are really not looking at either one. They're going to be drafting and trying to move around to find what they can to keep both quarterbacks successful, which is a run game and some blocking. And then you build your defense up, but you don't really build the defense up as much in drafts as you do in free agents when you're in a situation where you need both sides of the ball. So I look at that game as one matchup that kind of catch my eye. I actually got 3. My number 2 game is the Bengals and the Texans.
That's a house right there. That's a game.
And the reason why is for what we just got through saying, or I just got through saying in the first game. You got 2 quarterbacks that need help, and then you got 2 quarterbacks that are on game. So you're going to get to see the good and the bad. And the good is going to be watching these 2 quarterbacks battle, because first of all, Cincinnati's defense is going to go in the ball game saying, I wish you would throw 5 touchdowns and no picks on me. And then you're going to have Houston's defense saying, yeah, we seen your show, chopping block. We're going to let you know we took the purple flower. So that game is going to be intriguing in 2 ways, because the Bengals really need it, because who is the last seed right now that we looked at on the playoffs? The Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
So y'all can't afford to be dropping anything. Y'all got to win as many as you can. And my third game, which I know this has got to be on Havoc's team, which means I can either be your tag team partner for one match or just come out and be your Jimmy Cornette manager for one match. But I know that San Francisco Jaguars is one on the map. So therefore, I'm not even going to say nothing. I'm going to let my man Havoc have it.
Havoc, I'm going to let you go. Go ahead and do your dirty work. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Okay. Coach is definitely right. That's one of my 3 games. My 3 games are the Jags, 49ers. Guys, we got to see how the 49ers play after 3 losses in a row. All of us know how much talent they have. We've been over this. There were a lot of our Super Bowl picks, but the Jaguars are making noise this season, and they're not a layup anymore, and that's surprising a lot of the NFL. A lot of the NFL is going to play the Jaguars, and they're thinking layup, and they get popped in the mouth. It's not a layup anymore. You got Trevor Lawrence, you got Travis Etienne, and you got a damn good ball coach in Doug Peterson.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's not a layup anymore. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach.
And they coming off a bye too, right?
Yeah, coming off the bye. So the players are fresh, getting healthier as the season goes along. Then the number 2 game I want to see, this might surprise some people, but I'm intrigued by the Titans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And here's why. My theory, and I might get heat for this, I think Will Levis is better right now than Baker Mayfield. If you ask me who would I choose, I'm taking Will Levis right now.
100%.
10 days out of 10 over Baker Mayfield. I just think he processes the game better. He plays with more confidence. He's bigger, stronger, has a better arm, can make every throw on the football field. The only way I think the Titans lose this game is if Will Levis, his youth comes into play, which did happen against the Steelers. The last drive of the game, he threw a rookie interception. And I expect him to make mistakes. He's a rookie. As good as much talent as Will Levis has, we have to remember he's 23 years old and he is a rookie. With that being said, I still take him over Baker. That's the second game. And the third game that I'm intrigued to see is the Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns. And the reason is I want to see how Deshaun Watson plays against a fierce, stingy defense. And I don't think the results are going to be pretty. I think Deshaun Watson has been soft this year. I haven't had a chance to go full in on Deshaun, but I don't think he's the same guy he was in Houston. He's had 2 instances where he was cleared to return by team doctors and he refused to go back in the game. When you're making $250 million guaranteed dollars, your ass better get back in the game. Forgive my language for those watching at home. You better get back in the ball game if you're making that guaranteed money. Deshaun has been soft this year. He's been bailed out by his team multiple times. And that being soft, crying to mommy isn't going to work against the Baltimore Ravens defense. They're giving up 14 points per game, and that defense is nasty.
Listen, hey, I'm gonna jump on that train with you. Listen, it's time for Deshaun Watson to put it on the field. Yeah. It's time to go. You know, this game right here, you playing up against Jackson. It's time to get going. You need to win this game. You need to win this game for Cleveland. I'm telling you right now. Hey, listen, but if he does, this is a huge win for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay? This is a huge win. And I'm telling you right now, these are the kind of wins, man, that make people okay with giving you $250 million. Okay? It sounds weird because that's a lot of money. But you lose that game, the seat starts heating up really, really bad. It's one of those kind of games. You know,
because you're paying them to win that division.
That's right. You got to win. You need to win that game right there, man. Listen, man, I don't even care if you're competitive. It don't matter at this point. You are $250 million, whatever. You need to win that game for that city. Yeah. So I'm with you, man. That game right there is very intriguing. The Houston Cincinnati game, like y'all said, dude. If Stroud goes in and beats Burrow, they both be 5-4, dude. They both be 5-4.
Both were at Ohio State together too. CJ Stroud's freshman year, Joe Burrow was there.
Yep.
Only on a chopping block do you get the backstories like this, baby. Okay.
That's what made him. That's what made Joe transfer to LSU.
Is that what did it?
Yeah, he knew what was coming up.
And he lost the job to Dwayne Haskins. It shows you how Urban Meyer knows.
Yep.
Well, I thank the heavens that he did come to the beloved LSU. So now he spelled that name with the E-A-U-X, baby. Joe Burrow. Hey, man, listen. That game right there, You know, it kind of like ticks me off a little bit, man. I have the NFL ticket, right? But all these games is too much. You can't watch them all. You know, it drives me nuts, man. And when these games are this crazy, I just be wanting just give me one at a time. But yeah, man, this game right here, this Houston game, I don't know, man. This could be one of those to where there's an upset in Cincinnati. I'm not sure how I'm going to pick it yet, but I kind of feel like it. What else I'm looking for on here? Yeah, that San Francisco Jacksonville game, man. Dude, this feels like playoff football right now.
It is. It is. Every game, just about, or every team that we just named, it's all major playoff implication. I mean, you just said it. If the Texans win, both of them are 5-4, right?
Right.
That puts the Texans in a playoff slot.
Yes.
Okay. We turn around and you said San Francisco, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's already leading that division, but a win against San Francisco could leap them into number 2 in the AFC. Yeah. San Francisco could stay at number 2 behind Philadelphia, or they could end up dropping depending on what Seattle does. And then you turn around and you got Cleveland and Baltimore in it. Cleveland is the next to the last seat, which means that they still will probably be in the playoffs and would drop no matter what happens with the Bengals and everything up there, because the Bengals are below them. But the Baltimore Ravens, you're leading the division. But if you get beat by the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be fighting to lead to the division. So it's a must win for those teams. And then you say, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, let them go into Green Bay thinking that this is an easy one for us, and watch what happens. Even though the Bengals has the Texans and Baltimore and the Browns have each other, if the Steelers slip up and give this one away, look how far they could drop and the other teams could come back up. So everything that we just named has major playoff implications to it. And whether we really see it or not, if New York upsets Dallas, who's going to be in the East?
Yeah, that ain't going to happen, though. But I will drop down to that Monday night game. Now, nobody has said anything about this Monday night game.
That's a layup, Barry.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Come on, Sean Payton's been a bust. Can we say that? Are you allowed to say Sean Payton's been a failure?
It's not.
Listen, man, that's literally Jordan coming from the free throw line. That ain't even a layup, dog. This is something.
Hold on. This is the team. This is the team that beat the Chiefs.
Well,
they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All I'm saying is, and Josh Allen hasn't. Okay, he's sitting at 5-4, dude.
Well, Barry, he's a lot better at home, though. Josh Allen's good at home.
Hey, listen, man. At some point, we have to at least give Sean Payton and Russell Wilson a little bit of possibility. Okay, what they haven't they won their last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken?
And they won't be on more than a 2-game winning streak.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Hey, look, you might be right. But if they don't, if Buffalo get that game up, y'all gonna hear from me.
Now, Buffalo. Yeah. Now you also got to look at it though, B. This is the NFL. Yes. Now, I'm not saying that it's gonna be 70 points scored on, no. But I'm sitting here saying the better team in that matchup is definitely the Buffalo Bills at home. I'm 100%. Not saying, but you know, I don't see it being a blowout, but I don't see Denver beating Buffalo in Buffalo with the Russell Wilson situation, because you got to think about it. We're in week 10, and that relationship between him and Sean Payton is just now starting to get on a little bit of a like plan, not even loving each other, just a little like. Well, this is not a defense that you want to go in there and try and prove that I'm Russell Wilson. And I can tell you right now, I don't think Sean Payton's record against the Buffalo Bills or anybody in the AFC is all that great when he's on the road.
Well, I don't know, Coach. You could be right. All I'm saying is 5-4, 3-5. I'm just saying, beat the Chiefs, 2 games. Teams start playing with a little pride. They go in. Josh Allen turned the ball over a couple times. It could be one of those situations to where now they might go in there and beat the pulp out of them. I don't know.
Well,
But all I'm saying is,
Denver's run game is like terrible. And we're talking about a running quarterback. So if you're in a passing situation and the quarterback takes off running, y'all are not really equipped for it. And if Buffalo comes out and establish any type of running game, man, Hop finna go off for them boys.
yeah, I think so. You know, if you don't get any pressure on Allen, you know, you let him do what he does. Yeah, he's gonna be on a long day. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Buffalo. I'm surprised that the Buffalo Bills have dropped as many games they are. I know what they are. They're a good football team, very physical. But man, you sitting right there and you got 4 losses. You got a team that's trying to get a little heat on them, and they beat, to me, one of the best, maybe the second best team in the NFL. I'm putting the Eagles above them. Hey, who knows?
Hey, well, I'm gonna pull a quick havoc out of the bag real quick on that, B. Can you go back to it real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my inner havoc. What's the point spread on that game?
7.5.
On the Bills?
Yeah.
I'm taking the Bills.
Why is that?
That's my inner havoc.
and you would think about it. Now think about it. If anybody would have told you that game was only 7.5, you would have thought it'd be more points than that. As bad as we think the Broncos are, you only giving them a touchdown at home.
But the 3 things that you said is probably the reason why it's that. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson and Josh Allen throwing a couple of picks. That right there is what could put it at 7. So what you said is exactly what could have it at 7. And like I said, it ain't gonna be a 70-point game, but I do feel that the Bills will be on top. I think this game will actually be won like 23-19. I don't see a lot of scoring in it whatsoever, but I don't see it being a blowout. But I could say, to me, I think it's going to be anywhere between a field goal away from tying it and missing, or you got to score because you're down by 4.
Don't you kind of feel though like that this game should have been more than? I mean, why are they only giving them 7 points? They gave the Chiefs. Remember when they beat the Chiefs, they gave the Chiefs 6 points.
Well, now, Joe Wakanda, look what he did to him in the last ball game. So they're looking at, wow, look what Joe Burrow came out and did with the Bengals against the Bills. Let's drop the Bills a few credential points.
That makes sense. All right, guys, our last slide of the night. A little bonus for the chopping block. And now, I don't even know if I've ever heard this question posed. But I started thinking about it today, and I was like, well, I'm going to bring it to 2 guys that I know for a fact will give me some good advice and some good perspective, which all make some good content. Which is harder to get? The NFL MVP or the Heisman? And which is more prestigious? And then one more thing, who is your MVP? Abbott.
All right, this is a really good slide. The first question, which is harder to get, the NFL MVP or the Heisman? I'm going to go with the Heisman because here's why. so much has to go correctly for you to win a Heisman. Your team has to be in contention. You have to have the stats, and a lot has to go right. Now, which is more prestigious is definitely the NFL MVP. Now, some notable winners. I can remember Lamar Jackson won a Heisman and an MVP. And off the top of my head, he's the only guy I can remember that's done both. I haven't seen too many former Heisman winners that won MVPs in the NFL.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And so Lamar Jackson's the one guy I can think of that did both. And who would be my MVP right now? I mean, it's going to sound like I'm making the obvious pick, but it's got to be Jalen Hurts. I mean, just with what he's done with the team and just carrying them on his back like that. I know people are going to say A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown does his work in the passing game. Again, we go back to dual threat. Jalen runs and passes. A.J. Brown only catches passes. He does one thing. Jalen Hurts does two, and he's the leader of the team, keeps all of those guys in order, gets them ready to play. It's definitely Jalen Hurts. This is my MVP.
I like what I'm hearing. What do you say, Coach?
Well, the Heisman is definitely harder to get because you got 100+ teams in college football. And unless you're playing for a big school or a Power 5 school, you're really the only ones that's really got a real chance of winning the Heisman. Because you can take some guy who plays at Timberland University on Missy Elliott Field, and he could have 4,000 yards rushing, and he ain't finna win a Heisman Trophy. You know what I'm saying? So you get the NFL, of course, most prestigious, but we got 32 teams in here. So a lot of the NFL players is part of that. Who is the MVP? You know, they always see, all we see is the show where NFL players name the top 100 players. And you look at it and you say, oh, this is something that was voted on by the players. Well, what you're looking at is a show where a sniblet of what goes into the NFL MVP is part of. That's the only part that they're letting you see is the NFL players' top 100, because you can't let them know who the coaches think. You can't let them know who the owners think. Can't let them know what the organizations think. That's too political. So you put it amongst players just to put the names out there like that, because 9 times out of 10, who is going to be your MVP in the NFL? It ain't like a Heisman Trophy winner who came out of nowhere. Oh, your NFL MVP is somebody that we know and they've been doing it in the league. See, the Heisman is a one-year thing. An NFL MVP, you have to work to build that craft. Jalen Hurts, he's worked to build that craft, and we can call him the NFL MVP right now. But were you calling him an NFL MVP 3 years ago? No. But when you're in college football, you're either a Heisman candidate this year or you're never going to be a Heisman candidate. But in NFL, you got a career to build to become an MVP. So to me, it's a little bit easier to win the NFL MVP because you don't have as many athletes that you're competing against. And that's one reason why it's the most prestigious, is because the field is shrunk. You know, it's a difference when you say, hey, we got 1,000 people over here. Let's find out who's the fastest. I can pick out 100 of them that are fast. But if I say we got 32 people over here, let's pick out how many that are fast. You're only going to pick out about 5. So now you really have to put the microscope on who is that 5. So to me, Heisman is the hardest thing to win. NFL MVP is one of the most easiest things to win, but it's the most prestigious because of who actually votes for you with that.
Who's your MVP?
Right now, I have to go with Havoc on it, man. It's Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's got his team at 8-1. He's even got a play named after Natush Push, and you can't stop it. And they even showed, you know, I seen some video clips the other day where they had players mic'd up, and the Philadelphia Eagle players is actually looking at the other team talking about, y'all know what's coming and y'all ain't gonna be able to stop it. And I'm like, man, they talking trash like this on the field to the opponent. So when you say Philadelphia is lined up in a tush push, you could say to yourself, man, if Jalen Hurts just like faked that ball and just dumped it to the tight end, he go 99 yards because they got all 11 men on the line of scrimmage. It's a reason why all 11 up there, because Philadelphia literally said in the game with players mic'd up, I heard it on the video, they laughing and pointing at the other team talking about 4th and 1, y'all know it's coming. And it's the tush push, and you can't stop it. And guess who it is? It's your MVP quarterback whose tush is getting pushed.
The tush push. I never thought in all of my life I would hear a football play be named the
tush push. and you can't stop it, man.
It ain't nothing you can do to stop it. And I want to ask a question about the tush push. I know we're a little bit over. Is AJ Brown ever on the field doing the tush push?
I don't think he can impact the play because he's out wide, Barry. He's too far wide.
But what I'm saying, I thought on the tush push everything was compact.
I guess he's not on the field.
They got certain packages, but if they do the tush push and AJ Brown is in the ball game, they spread him out. That's the reason why I said, wow, he could just dump the ball and it's wide open.
That's why I'm asking, because I think that may be coming. Everybody's going to be now. I will say this. I'm going to go on record right now and say this: you do not pull a Seattle Seahawk and try to do not do that. If you are in anything short yardage, you make them stop the tush push every single time. You don't do nothing. You don't deviate. Now, if you're in the middle of a game and you see something and you want to, bring AJ Brown in and then let him slide out real quick and hit him, okay, do not mess with the tush push. Is there another play in football more exciting than the tush push?
You can't stop it. That's what makes it so exciting.
Right. Listen, I'm going to agree with you guys and say that the Heisman is harder to get because the criteria is so hard to meet. Now, for example, we talked about earlier, have Tua's MVP host swim to the bottom of the sea. And I believe it is, now, because the reason I say that is, like, if, for example, if this was in college, if this was his Heisman, season, and he lost 3 games against, the big boys, you can't beat nobody but the cupcakes. Don't you think his stock would have dropped significantly with the Heisman?
Exactly.
It would
have happened to Caleb Williams.
Yeah, but if you look at this list that came from Fox Sports, now I know there are other things out there, but that's still pretty high for somebody who done dropped 2 or 3 games by good teams. I think he's up high. I know he has the stats, but I don't know why he would be there, But I do think it's interesting, man, which one is more prestigious is kind of hard. But one thing I will say on this is, to me, the NFL has such parity, right? It's hard to get an NFL win. And you're playing against a bunch of grown men. Now, in college, most of these stats come from cupcakes. You know what I'm saying? They come from, it's only a few teams, the same few teams. Now, this year, I will say, it's been a little bit more interesting, a little bit more parity in college football to me, which I've loved. But in the NFL, to me, it seems like, I don't know, man. This question kind of messed with me a little bit, because in some sense, I want to say that the Heisman is harder to get because of the criteria that you got to meet. But then I want to say that the MVP is harder to get because of all the parity in the league. So it's kind of like a tough situation when you look at it. As far as the MVP, y'all know how much I love Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think you can give it to him. I gotta go Jalen Hurts with you. Jalen Hurts just seems to be beast mode this year. He just again, he was beast mode last year. And I'm telling you, man, just imagine a situation where Jalen Hurts finds himself in I'll take a step back real quick and I say, what if Jalen Hurts plays that can't happen, so I won't say that. But let's just put it like this. If Jalen Hurts goes back to back to the Super Bowls, oh my God. That is an incredible story. Not to mention if he goes to the Super Bowl in some kind of way, the Dolphins shows up and they play against the Dolphins in the Super Bowl. Tua versus Jalen. Guys, that would be one of the most crazy story of ever. And I don't even know who you want to win. Just let it go. But guys, this has been the Chopping Block NFL show. And every week, man, you guys continue to impress me coming with the straight smoke. And look, it's hard for me to watch these kind of like stay dialed in because I'm having to drive and do all these slides and everything. So I treat myself after we do this to my own little personal viewing. And I always say, oh my God, when did he say that? Did he say that? It's just an awesome experience to be able to do this stuff with you guys. Hey, the college show is coming up tomorrow at 7:30. At 7:30, Digo is going to be back. And y'all know that the college week was crazy too. So that show is going to be smoking. Can't wait to see that. But like I said, it's Chopping Block, Thoroughbred Havoc, Coach Price, Beast of Kane, and we out.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we needing wood. Yeah, we going for the sweep, then we mop it up.